Oh, I'm a huge advocate of doing geography as a degree and being within a sort of geography department for further postgraduate studies. I think it's an incredibly important subject. I loved the course at King's. One of the reasons I selected doing the undergraduate was because it had the tutorial system. There weren't many places at the time in the country that offered it. I don't think there still are. And I found that sort of small group discussion was really beneficial. And then as a returning member of the department, one of the reasons I returned to the department was that I really liked how there were the traditional divisions between sort of physical and human geography, but also a lot of space for the people that wanted to work between the two and bridge and really look at the kind of science, whether it was more social science or physical science based, of the interactions between humans and their environment. That's particularly what fascinates me. So it's a great department for that. My name's Briony Turner. I'm a Geography BSc undergraduate, graduated in 2004 from the Department of Geography at King's, and then I returned to the department to do my PhD in geography, but more on the social sciences. I have so many favourite memories of my times at King's, and also it's hard to choose between the undergraduate and PhD, but I guess if I had to sort of pick a highlight during my undergraduate was definitely doing the field trip. I was in physical geography. Our field trip at that time was to Morocco. I love my year group, some great people across the year, and great to get to know so many people. The field trip gave an opportunity to actually get to know a part of the cohort in really well. We had some good fun times out and about, but also in terms of sort of bringing textbooks and research papers to life and understanding, you know, why you might need to understand the geomorphology of a sort of river course and why you might need to be able to calculate the river flow. It's sort of brought to life when you start to see what could happen in a flash flood event. So I think the field trip was one of the highlights. And I think sort of coming back and doing the PhD at King's, the postgrad community, sort of having drinks, having seminars together, it meant you're not studying your PhD on your own. You are sort of part of a really, really interesting group of people doing, and that's the beauty of geography, isn't it? Doing very varied and different things, but all about how humans interact with the natural environment. And obviously people sort of taking different slants on that, or focus more on the physical environment or the human, and some in between. So always surrounded by and getting to know really interesting people doing really interesting things. When I came back doing the PhD, my PhD was not exotic in terms of fieldwork, working with social housing providers, but I knew a lot of people in the department were doing really interesting research, and I was really excited to hear not just about their research findings, but what went on behind the scenes to get that research, and you know, some of the things that didn't go to plan and that kind of thing. So we set up an initiative called Intrepid Explorers to kind of provide a way for people to share those tales, and I think it's still going on in the department today, but at the time it was a bit of a bizarre idea because everyone was just presenting research findings, but we were allowed a room, we were given some funds for tea and coffee and that, and now it's led to a lot of things. It's led to other people's PhDs, even collaborations that maybe wouldn't have happened, and students finding out and understanding a bit more about what a career as a field researcher might look like. So it's a good environment, a supportive environment if you are a proactive person. There's a lot that you can get from it, and the community around you can. I currently work in a new international project office of the World Climate Research Programme, which is focused on coordinating the Coupled Model Intercomparison project, which is sometimes known as CMIP, and that's the international climate modelling community, which helps to better understand Earth's past, present and future climate. So I've worked with Earth observation scientists, and engineering researchers in the built environment, and now I'm working with the international climate modelling community. Actually, it was returning to King's to do my PhD and via a bit of a circuitous sort of route from that, which is how I ended up in the role I'm in today. So I was originally working for 10 years in the built environment sector, and I saw a lot going on about sort of energy efficiency and trying to reduce the emissions from buildings, contributing to the global warming. But I wasn't seeing much about adapting our built environment to the level of climate change we were already starting to experience, and I was concerned about that. So I went back to do a PhD looking at why, when we had that kind of knowledge and science, is it not quite coming through into professional practice. Obviously, a decade on, there are some changes, but during that period and afterwards, I realised how important it is to actually bridge between emerging research and science and getting that, particularly around climate information, into use. There are a couple of elements of the undergraduate course that are sort of skills I almost don't notice that I'm utilising day to day, but I know are really important. So as much as it can be very stressful turning in those essays for the deadlines, actually being able to write persuasively, write a well-evidenced argument, have a strong introduction and conclusion, that's a really important skill set in day-to-day life. And I've worked in government departments, government agencies in the UK, and now obviously in bodies that are coordinating international scientists. And whether you use that skill set written down or you're utilising it to help sort of prepare for an argument or putting a point across in a meeting. So it's quite tacit and you don't realise you're kind of utilising it. But if I hadn't been equipped with that, and that sort of level of writing advance from sort of what you learn at GCSE and A-level in school, I don't think, I might not be in the job I'm in today. I think also, particularly for a kind of in geography courses and the ones at King's, doing the group work, learning to collaborate and that kind of co-production, those are definitely all skills that I utilise on a day-to-day basis and can sort of pinpoint back to sort of refining those during my undergraduate degree. And then I think with postgraduate studies, that willingness and curiosity to listen and learn from others and be exposed to what others are doing, the challenges they're facing in their research, but also some of the good points. That's really important for my sort of current job. I think sort of working with scientists and researchers, sort of understanding the day-to-day difficulties they might be encountering and having some sort of empathy and sympathy for that.